Hey everyone, welcome to MLSsoccer.com's preview of Tuesday's huge, momentous, massive, whatever hyperbolic word we can think of.
We'll come up with more.
We'll come up with some more World Cup qualifier between Mexico and the United States. I'm Greg Lawless alongside Andrew Wiebe, and we're here to help you get ready for Tuesday's match. It's at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can watch it on ESPN or on Univision, and we will have a live chat here on MLSsoccer.com. Now, Andrew, Mexico-USA, I believe this is the biggest rivalry in international soccer. I've said it before. Many people call me crazy for that. I really don't care. It has history. It has passion. It has lots of socio-political things involved in this. But this match in particular is really important for both teams on the field. Set it up for us.
Yeah, it's early, but let's look at the standings right now. And the first thing you'll notice, Mexico is not in one of those top three spots. Those are the teams that automatically qualify for the World Cup. That has them worried. There is pressure on the Mexican team right now. 2 draws in 2 games is not good enough, and more importantly, a 0-0 draw against Jamaica in Azteca is not good enough. Pressure's on them to come out and play well. On the flip side, the Americans, they've kind of escaped from that pocket of pressure. Jurgen Klinsmann got the win that he needed at home. Now this is all about surplus to requirements. A draw would be more than enough. Can they go in and get the win?
Well, to find out a little more about what's going on with U.S. camp, let's go down to our man in Mexico City, Simon Borg.
Hello everyone, Simon Borg here from Mexico City, where this morning we woke up to a 5.9 magnitude earthquake that shook some buildings here in Mexico City. But who cares? It's game day. USA-Mexico, it's all anyone's talking about on TV, in the streets, and in the newspapers. It's Chicharito versus Dempsey here. Guillermo Ochoa, he wasn't a starter a few days ago. He's captain of Mexico in this game. And then lastly, the Golden Eagle versus the Bald Eagle. It's all the talk, USA-Mexico, and it's going to be crazy. So much so that the Mexican national team coach yesterday asking fans to respect the U.S. national anthem. We know that's not going to happen. And also to get behind his team, not turn on them like they did against Jamaica in that 0-0 draw, you remember. Unlike Mexico, the U.S. is very loose. You can tell the weight of the world is off their shoulders after those 3 points against Costa Rica. They want to take advantage of that relationship between the fans and Mexico, get off to a good start, throw Mexico off their game, and get that crowd to turn against them. Jurgen Klinsmann promising not to make many changes. We'll see if it's going to be enough. Tonight, USA versus Mexico. We'll have all the coverage on MLSsoccer.com. Back to you.
Thanks, Simon. Some interesting points there, Andrew. I have to wonder, how much of an effect does the victory against Costa Rica last Friday play into the mindset for the U.S. going into this one?
Well, I think it's huge. We talked about the pressure they were under. They had to get 3 points. They got the job done. That alone relieves some of that. But I think the way in which they won, the snowstorm, the pause in the second half, all the different things that went into making this match epic, unified them as a team. Now they can move on, they can move past those things, and hopefully put in another good performance here on Tuesday.
Well, it also energized the fan base. The U.S. fans around the country and around the world got behind them for that Costa Rica game. It'll be a very different atmosphere at Azteca and a very different set of problems, including the one and only Chicharito. The Man United star, how do you stop him? Let's ask Dan Hayek and Matt Doyle out in San Francisco.
Thanks, guys. And Matt, first question to you. How does the U.S. stop Little P and his near post runs? He beat Honduras twice, making smart runs to the near post.
Yeah, nobody in the world gets to that near post like Chicharito does. But it is something you can stop. You just have to be aware of it. You have to focus on him, you have to communicate well, and you have to be able to anticipate the play when Mexico gets the ball wide. And they're going to get the ball wide. It'll be Jurgen Klinsmann's game plan to force them down the flanks and try to cross it in. Last year in the U.S. win against Mexico, the U.S. forced Mexicans into 34 crosses from open play, 39 overall. Back in 2011 in the Gold Cup final, Mexicans only had 11. So it's clearly part of Jurgen Klinsmann's game plan, and it has to be Omar Gonzalez, Clarence Goodson, Jeff Cameron, whoever is there in the central defense. They have to be aware of it, and they have to talk and communicate constantly about where Chicharito is and where he's going.
Now in the Friday game against Costa Rica, we saw the U.S. go with a little more attacking flavor in midfield than we're used to. They only lined up with Jermaine Jones and Michael Bradley as the central midfield pairing instead of going with 3. Do you expect them to go back to 3? Even with Jermaine Jones injured for this one?
It's a good question, and my gut says yes. Klinsmann is going to probably play Michael Bradley, Kyle Beckerman, and Maurice Edu all in the central midfield. All three guys are very defensively sound. None are too adventurous in going forward, save on the counter. So you might as well play for the counter, I guess. It worked last summer. Of course, last summer Tim Howard had to have a monstrous last 10 minutes of that game. You can't keep Mexico from getting sniffs indefinitely. Your keeper is going to have to step up and make big plays, regardless of how many defensive midfielders you put on the pitch. But I think he will go with that three. If he doesn't, I could see Sasha Kljestan coming in and playing sort of the release valve for the counter. It's something he excels at in Anderlecht.
All right, well, that does it for us here at the Scouting Report. Let's send it back to New York.
Thanks, guys. Now, Andrew, Matt mentioned the heroics of Tim Howard when the U.S. got that victory last year at Azteca. No Tim Howard this time around. It's Brad Guzan who's in the nets. Is he ready for the pressure of this one?
Oh, he's plenty ready for this one. You look at what he's doing right now at Aston Villa in a relegation battle. He is being bombarded with shots week after week after week. Nothing the Mexicans can do as far as that is going to faze him. The question is, will they get the opportunities that he can't do anything about? That's where the problem lies with the U.S. defense.
Well, on Tuesday night, Guzan will not only be facing Chicharito, Giovanni Dos Santos, and the rest of the Mexican core, but he'll also be going up against the best weapon the Mexicans have, Azteca Stadium.
El Estadio Azteca. It's not only a stadium, it's a monument to El Tri's historical dominance at home. The Azteca was opened in 1966 and it can hold 105,000 people. It sits 7,200 feet above sea level. The field is 115 yards long by 75 yards wide. For Mexico, Azteca is a cathedral. They have only lost 10 matches there since 1966 and only once in a competitive match, a 2-1 defeat to Costa Rica in a World Cup qualifier after Mexico had already qualified. For the United States, on the other hand, Azteca has been a theater of pain. In 7 World Cup qualifiers there, the Americans have no wins, 6 losses, and 1 draw. What can never be quantified about El Azteca is the intimidation factor. How do you put a number on the history, the smog, the fans, and the noise of a nation?
I can tell you from experience, a visit to Azteca is like nothing else. You can easily see why Mexico have so much success there and why the Americans have struggled so mightily over the years. Now, Andrew, in your heart of hearts, is there any chance that the U.S. national team will be any different this time around?
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say the U.S. are going to make history. Not that kind of history, though. It is going to be a repeat of that 1997 game. Instead of 0-0, though, 1-1 draw. The U.S. getting an early goal a la Charlie Davies. The crowd turns on the Mexican team, but they, under pressure, find a way to get the job done late. 1-1, another draw for El Tri and the U.S. with a great result in Azteca.
You're right. Everyone I talked to says that if the U.S. gets a lead, that fan base at Azteca is going to turn on the Mexicans and make it very hard for them. So 1-1 looking pretty good right now. Hopefully. Well, if you have a prediction of your own, let us know in the comments below or hit us up on Twitter at Gagins, at Andrew_Wiebe. If you have a prediction or any other comment about the game coming up. And the game is at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's on ESPN and Univision. You can also join a live chat on MLSsoccer.com. And finally, go to MLSsoccer.com/World Cup for all the news about the U.S. national team and the World Cup qualifying for the CONCACAF Hexagonal. That's it for us. Good luck to the U.S. and everyone else on Tuesday night.